My name is David Okuniev. I'm the co-founder and co-CEO and design lead at Typeform. Typeform is a startup based in Barcelona, and what we've done is reinvent forms into basically an interactive communication tool. Okay, forms are everywhere. They're in every business process, in every application. Wherever some sort of data is being collected, you will surely come across forms. Yet they are pretty boring, and they kind of look like a laundry list of tasks to complete. I would maybe say the word merde in French, but I won't say it in English. Simply put, humans don't really like forms. And I don't know if you know this guy. He's called Tim Berners-Lee. He's basically the overlord of the internet, the guy who invented the World Wide Web. And we literally have to thank this guy, or thank the universe for this guy, because he's the guy that basically democratized information around the world. And he basically, in the 90s, created what's called the hypertextual markup language, better known as HTML. And notably for us, in this case, the HTML form declaration and its usual suspects of form elements. So, why did the look of online forms start here? Well, the answer is pretty straightforward. Tim simply looked at the paper form and translated it into the screen. Pretty obvious, right? Simply put, a form field is nothing but a digital abstraction of a paper form field. Now, if you look at websites, you will see a similar pattern, actually. And the web page is clearly inspired by the printed page. And this is Apple's homepage in 1997. It's shockingly bad. And it's funny, actually, if you look in I can see here in the top right-hand corner, it says 1997, as if that was kind of a cool design feature in those days. And it's actually hard to believe that this is just 1 year before Steve Jobs had actually launched the first iMac. I actually think Steve Jobs was already in the company whilst this web page looked like this. And this is Apple's website today. I mean, it's elegant, it's fluid, it's beautiful. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because if you put these two websites side by side, you can clearly see a leap in evolution over the last 19 years. But if you look at forms, the story is radically different. This is a form from the 90s. It's actually from iOS 9. And on your right, you have a form on Apple's current website. Essentially, we're still in the same paradigm as far as forms are concerned. They're still an abstraction of paper forms presented as a laundry list of tasks. So, I asked myself, how the hell did this happen? And the truth is, I'm not actually that sure, but I kind of have, I kind of come to the following conclusion. That forms are to websites what toilets are to public spaces. Hang in there, bear with me. I'll explain. This is the Sagrada Familia. I live quite close to this amazing building. It was built by Antonio Gaudí in the early 1900s. It's arguably the most famous building in Barcelona, and it's nothing short of phenomenal. I'm sure some of you here have seen it. And have even been inside, and this is what it looks like inside, right? It's just this incredible piece of architecture by an incredibly talented man. And this is what you'll see when you look up at the ceiling. And it's really, truly extraordinary. Nevertheless, these are the toilets at the Sagrada Familia. And every day, thousands of people queue up, line up, sweating under the hot Barcelona summer sun, and they go into this building and have an extraordinary experience, and then some of them go to the toilet and are perfectly content to have a perfectly ordinary experience. The thing is, no one expects to be amazed by a toilet. I mean, why should they? It's something functional, it's something boring, it's something ugly. It basically gets the job done. We just usually have a very, very low expectations of public toilets, and that's to be expected. My point is that the same thing goes for forms. We don't expect to have a great experience with them because we've basically settled for the functional. And I guess we're all okay with that, but personally I'm not that okay with that. As you can see, forms don't have to be ordinary, they don't have to be boring, they can actually even be awesome. It's important to bear in mind that humans respond much better to conversation than interrogation. I mean, that's an obvious thing, right? But a standard online form plays out just like an interrogation. One question, the next question, you just have to get to the end. I'm going to show you a clip from a film from the 1990s called War Games. I don't know if you've seen this with Matthew Broderick. And it shows how an engaging conversation can actually, it shows how an engaging conversation can be as a user interaction. And actually, this piece of film is the principal source of inspiration for the product Typeform that I founded. So I don't know if we're going to get sound here, but let me, here we go.
We're in. It thinks I'm Falcon. Hello.
How can it ask you that?
It'll ask you whatever it's programmed to ask you. You want to hear it talk?
Yeah.
I'll ask it how it feels. I'm fine. How are you?
Excellent. It's been a long time. Can you explain the removal of your user account on June 23rd, 1973?
They must have told it he died. People sometimes make mistakes.
Yes, they do.
How can it talk?
It's not a real voice. This box just interprets signals from the computer and turns them into sound.
Shall we play a game?
Oh.
I think I missed him.
Yeah, weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
Love to. How about global thermonuclear war?
Wouldn't you prefer a good game of chess?
Later, let's play global thermonuclear war.
Fine.
All right.
Anyway, I just want to make the point that having a conversation with a computer is a whole different ball game to actually just filling in a bunch of fields, and it's much more engaging, as you can see. Now, let's do a little experiment. Let's try and imagine trying to pick up a girl or a boy in a bar using form mechanics. This is totally unrealistic, right? I mean, you wouldn't go up to someone and say, name, phone number, and expect to actually get an answer. I mean, you might get a name, but you're definitely not going to get a phone number, that's for sure. Unless you're like unbelievably good looking or something. My point is that better form interaction can only come by taking examples of how real people in the real world interact, by engaging users in conversation and not interrogation, but also by having a beautiful experience, not an ordinary one. So I'm out of sync here. And also that a form needs to have a meaningful experience as well, and not just a functional one. In fact, a conversational, beautiful, and meaningful form can actually lead to completion rates skyrocketing by up to 4 times. And this is why conversational UI is such a hot topic at the moment, because it's actually really, really engaging and gets people to complete things. So in our case at Typeform, I've seen this happen firsthand. There was a company called Quartz. I don't know if you guys have heard of them. They're a big publishing company, a news publishing company online. And they sent out a Typeform survey to over 940 C-level executives. And they actually managed to get a 55% completion rate. And that's with 65 questions. I don't know about you, but if I received 65 questions, as a list, I'm not going to spend my time answering that. This probably takes around 20 minutes to fill in. So just goes to show, if you engage with people and you make them feel comfortable inside a conversation, they're much more willing to carry on. So I've talked about the past of forms. I've talked a little bit about what we're doing with forms. So what lies ahead now for the form space? Today, the standard forms of input for interacting with a machine are basically click, touch, and type. Tomorrow's standard inputs methods will undoubtedly be dominated by voice and gestures. And we're already seeing a bit of that happening. I think it's going to take a few years till all the old paradigms go away, but eventually in the future, that is how we're going to seamlessly communicate with machines. At that point, will we even need forms when we can simply use our voice and gestures to input stuff? And also then we'll have natural language processing to interpret what we mean. And also followed by artificial intelligence in order to return the appropriate response. In future, form interaction could be nothing more than a conversation with an AI. Imagine supporting graphics appearing in your field of view as you make visual choices by either talking to an AI or using your body to interact, removing all the physical obstructions that we have today with devices. This is what I would consider seamless UI. And this, you see it in films all the time, but this is definitely where we're heading to. And now we're just in the infancy of this. And watch this space because it's super exciting. At this point in the future where UI is seamless, I have no doubt that forms, and even type forms for that matter, will feel as old as a floppy disk. And actually, someone might even do a presentation like this one, entitled instead, Beyond the Boring Typeform.